What is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I'm JJ Wang. He's the bearded one, DJ Dove. And with our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
What is up, JJ Wang? How you doing on this wondrous morning? We are still doing weekend recordings prior to the season starting. Pretty soon it's gonna get crazy, but it is a weekend recording. How you doing this fine morning?
I'm doing good. Got a big day today. I'm really excited. I'm getting in that redraft mode. Looking forward to the day going on.
Yes, it is auction day. It is secretly my brother got me. It's my birthday, and if you're watching the screen, I have my Godfather Commissioner spoof shirt that I am wearing. So check it out. If you're listening to us, come check it out. It's a snazzy little shirt my brother got for me. But we are getting ready to roll. I mean, what's better than the Fantasy Courier? So if you want to hook us up, come check us out. We're on Twitter. We are on Instagram. We've been posting a bunch on there. React to our photos. If you listen, hopefully you listen to the Running Backs preview show on Sunday. The pictures are all up on Instagram. You can react. Tell us what we did right. Tell us what we did wrong. Be like, dude, Austin Eckler is way too high. JJ Wang. He should be at least 27. We'll see where he goes. You can also check us out on Facebook. We are looking for some favors. We have a set a goal of getting 100 subscribers on YouTube. We have doubled that this week as of recording. So this will change between now and then. We have 32 followers, which is amazing. So subscribe. Don't want to miss a single show. We have these handsome faces. You just don't want to miss us on there. Also, check us out on your favorite podcast. If you want easy links, they're on our website, thefantasycouriers.wixsite.com/website. All of that is on each of our podcast pages and on our YouTube page. So check us out. Now, we're going to start right in with our question of the week. It comes from some guy named JJ Wang in Virginia. JJ Wang has a story and a question to pose to the audience.
Yeah, so something happened this past week in another league that I'm in, a redraft league. I'm going to preface it by saying I'm not going to tell you what I did. I'm going to give you the story. Hopefully, all the listeners will respond, give me their thoughts, maybe what they did, and then next week tune back in and I'll tell you what I actually did. So I'll start. So it's a league I'm in, fun league. I think I've been in it for about 3 years. Pretty fun, good, back and forth. We got a live draft. One quarterback, you have two running backs, three wide receivers, a tight end, the kicker. There's no flex spot. All right, we got a defense and a tight end. All right, defense and tight end or defense and kicker. We all know about that. It's neither here nor there. I'm in on that. So my thing is the no flex spot, right? So I brought it up last year in our league meeting, and he told me that by adding that flex, it devalues, all the other running, devalues the running back position. I don't agree with that. So, I left it there. He's the commissioner. So this year, he made a rule where the top four teams get together and talk about some league changes. So I brought up the flex spot again. So the four of us split. It was a 2-2 tie. I thought this would have been a great opportunity, for a league vote, since it was a tie. That's not how it went. The commissioner pounded the table. He said, Flex voted down. Didn't even get a conversation. Couldn't even get, anything going back and forth. Let me try to convince, none of that. It was, dictatorship, big no. I responded. I was like, whatever, you can do what you want. I mean, it's your league. It definitely doesn't devalue the running back. It actually adds more value because the running back, like you said, the running back is super important. And if you're only starting two running backs in a league, what happens to that running back 24 through 36? So you're going to draft your two running backs, and you might not draft another one until round 7 because you can only start two. So it's a one quarterback league, so the quarterback's already devalued. You can only start two running backs. Now the running back is devalued, so you got only three receivers. So who's going to be on your bench? I mean, you don't want to keep an excess amount of running backs because you're not going to use them, right? So he come back to me. This was his response. Then I'll turn it over to you. Let you respond. So his response to me was, "I didn't twist your arm to be in this league. If you don't like it, you can be replaced. I was like, all right, that's a great response. Great dictatorship there. So that's where I'm going to stop. Let me hear your opinion on everything that went down.
So there's a lot of layers to what's going on here. The cool layer about fantasy and about pretty much anything is you can choose when, where, and how and where you are. That's the whole thing going on in the world right now. If I go to a store and they're selling something I don't want, I don't have to go to that store. I haven't been to KFC in a while. Not really because I don't like their food, but just because I'm cheap because they got too expensive. So, but the same thing goes with leagues. You could go to a league. My goal in leagues is to go into leagues that have various different formats. I quit a league the other year to join your dynasty league, and the commissioner basically ghosted me. He wasn't happy with me, but I pretty much quit that league because by the middle of the season, half the people have quit in the league anyway. So as far as not having a flex spot, having a flex spot, does it devalue the running back? It can be seen as always in many ways. Running backs, how many running backs played a complete season last year? I think the answer was like 2, maybe 3 running backs played every game last year. So you still do need the extras. The train of thought really is there's some leagues that are still old school. This is the old school league. Do you do PPR?
Yes, PPR. PPR, yes.
So yeah, moving up to PPR, that moves it a little bit out of old school. I'm thinking about my original league was standard, 1 point for every 20 yards rushing or receiving, and touchdowns were 6. Quarterbacks got 1 point for 50. So our final scores were like 60 to 58, something to that effect. So it is interesting to have a round table. It is kind of silly to have a round table with an even number of humans because you need 5 or 3. That would be my suggestion on how to avoid this in the future within the league. But it also is why in a lot of leagues I am stepping away from a lot of the round tables because everything these days, we were talking about the world before, everything is so, there's no gray area. It's all black or white. I mean, I am a black and white thinker, but sometimes you got to meet in the gray. So a lot of my leagues I've pretty much made it a dictatorship going, hey, here's what we're going to do. And I'll listen to guys. I would never say that to you. Like, hey, you're replaceable. Like that would tick me off. But I went with our draft that we're getting ready to have our first auction draft. I changed up the league format. They said, hey guys, this is what's going on. And everybody had the choice. Hey, we're coming in. Or you were like, hey, dude, I kind of like that idea. So it's many layers there. Do I think it devalues the running back? Yes, but I'm a receiver guy. So it does devalue, but it devalues everything as well because you are starting so much less. And the fact that kickers and defenses are still in leagues in fantasy anymore is just ridiculous. Mr. Wang. But I don't know how I would end the situation. I'll let the viewers chime in. I'll put a little thing on Facebook, Instagram for them to and you can tell how the story ended next week.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I didn't mind no flex spot. I mean, I'll play in any league. Like, just hear me out. I am JJ Wang. I do have my own podcast. I am a professional at this. So, just hear me out. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Let's discuss it. And if your answer is still no, fine. I have no issues. But don't tell me I'm replaceable. Let's be honest. I'm not replaceable.
No, you're not replaceable. I haven't been scouting for other people to cover for you. No, but there's only one JJ Wang. So the last 2 shows have been all about studs and busts for the first 4 rounds. And as you heard us saying last week, we're talking about rounds 3 and 4. And once you get past round 1 and 2, those are the true studs. After that, there's guys you think that are going to be good. They fill your roster. There's going to be breakout guys every year. That's what happens. So instead of doing studs and busts for every round from round 5 until however many bench spots you have, we each chose 3 guys that could be potential studs. Some of these guys we think could be wide receiver 1s or running back 1s or tight end 1s. Some of these guys, there's not even a running back on this board. Some of these guys we think could be solid 2s. And I think it's more realistic look with our guys that are receivers to think they could be 2s, maybe 3s. So we're calling them potential studs. So it's guys that could break out, guys that could be considered sleepers to others. And we're just going to go through and share these awesome guys that we think are going to have spectacular years with you. I'm going to start out with a tight end. a tight end that I somehow managed to pull off the waivers in one of my dynasty leagues, which made me very excited as I had to watch Gronkowski just fall apart and break and have a decent year last year, but it was neither here nor there. It's Mr. Dallas Goddard. Dallas Goddard is a giant tight end. They drafted Dallas Goddard, even though they had Zach Ertz in his prime, which tells me one of two things. They are worried about Zach Ertz in the future, or Dallas Goddard, if I could say his name correctly, is a stud. Well, last year, the last couple years, Dallas Goddard hasn't been a slouch. His best year was in 19 when he had 58 catches for 607 yards and 5 touchdowns. He had a down year last year, but the stat that came out that went up was his yards per reception. Last year, his yards per reception went up almost an entire yard. And he has now time working with Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts is a young quarterback, and that we always say a young quarterback's favorite receiver is the tight end. Zach Ertz is as of right now blonde haired and on the team. He could play the season, but realistically, on that team, who are the two best receivers they have currently? Zach Ertz and Dallas Goddard. So he's gonna get his. He's gonna break out. He isn't too much of a stretch from the tight end realm. He is tight end 8, which is I think a pretty decent spot for him, but he's being drafted 82 overall. So could he be that guy that sneaks up there? Could he overtake Hawkinson to be the number 5? I very well could see that happening. I could see him totally becoming the next big thing. Not a Kelsey type big thing, but a decent tight end receiving option at that. What do you think about Mr. Goddard?
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely. I love Dallas Goddard. I mean, I love that. I love the big receiver, the big tight end. I mean, that's my kind of guy. That's who I kind of who I go to. But like I said, there's not a lot of receiving options. You got Devonta Smith on the outside. He's a rookie, so you really have no idea what's going on there. You got Rager on the other side, second year, have no idea what's going on there. He did make an impressive catch at camp the other day, I saw, but he is.
Who
But
doesn't?
yeah, I like Goddard. I mean, I think he's got plenty of opportunity here to be the number one guy. It's just whether or not this offense can take that next step. I think that we've been waiting for Goddard to take that next step. Um, to be that top 5 tight end, and I think he has all the potential to do it. I can't argue with Dallas Goddard. I got him in so many leagues. So yeah, I'm right on board. So we'll jump over here to my guy. It's also a tight end. Kind of on a different end of the spectrum here. He's going as tight tight end 19. I'm all over this guy. In the dude's 6'6", 253 pounds. Is in his second year. It's Adam Troutman. Of course, we've got the small sample size. He had 15 catches last year, even though it was on 16 targets. I mean, it's pretty impressive. So did average 11 yards a catch. I mean, that's a very good number. Um, and let's face it, this team is lacking receiving talent. So we we got some wide receivers that we might talk about a little later, but right now I think Troutman is the best receiver. I mean, he can work with both quarterbacks. Jameis is going to sit back there. He's going to find a receiver. Hill's going to be running around. He's going to find a receiver. I think he's going to work that 10 to 20 yard area. Kamara get all that underneath stuff. And then you got some speedier wide receivers on the outside. I mean, this team isn't going to be great. Probably going to be coming from behind a lot. So they're going to be throwing a lot. Um, doesn't take much to be a top tight end. I mean, I think this guy's going to kill it this year. I'm all over it.
Yeah, we are getting ready to do our tight end show, and we talked about the most polarizing guy on there isn't Troutman, it's Pitts, but I'm talking about the fact that he could easily be a top 6 tight end because all he needs is like 600 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's like a top 6. Troutman, I'm not as big on him as you are. He's the flavor of the month in a lot of places. I think about for me, it's a tale of two quarterbacks. You said that Taysom or Jameis will balance it. I would disagree. I would say Taysom is not a tight end lover, but he also had Michael Thomas. We know what's come out of that. But last year, Jared Cook only had the numbers of the tight end went down the drain. Jared Cook never had a game over 5 receptions. Sure, Jared Cook's 75, but he never had over receptions. The targets weren't even there. So either he wasn't getting breakaway or else he was having to guard block on the line. So Troutman could have to block on the line. Now, and I'm saying that I'm more hesitant because of Troutman because I think Taysom Hill's going to start. If you were to tell me right now that Jameis Winston was the starter, I would totally jump on board. I was reading this article I found on PFF Pro Fantasy Focus, and it's talking. The lines here said, since entering the NFL, Jameis Winston has the 5th best passer rating when targeting tight ends. So you put Jameis Winston in there, I'm on board 120%. You put Taysom Hill in there, I'm on board 75% more, just due to everybody in the receiving core being garbage. So is he going to be a bust? No. Is he going to be a decent tight end? Yeah. I mean, he'll get his 500 yards and his 6 touchdowns, like every tight end. If you're listening to the podcast, the faces we've been giving each other during this one are just outrageous. So, but yeah, I'm hit or miss with him, but I can tell you one thing. Your next guy, I am 135,000% hit on. You stole me. You filled out your show docket before I could, so you got to stealing from me. Tell him who it is.
Yeah, I usually fill out the show docket a little later than you do. I mean, you usually got your guys on there at the beginning of the week, and I was like, well, I'm going to beat him this time. So yeah, Mike got 6'2" wide receiver, 220 pounds in his second year, uh, playing with one of my favorite guys in the league, Trevor Lawrence, Laviska Shenault, the kid out of Colorado. He's more that weapon type guy. You know, he can still run the ball, be that good slot guy. He had 58 catches last year for 600 yards, and he had 5 touchdowns. He also added 91 rushing yards, and that was on a very bad team. So we got Trevor Lawrence coming in. You know how great he's going to be. We got Urban Meyer coming in. I think he's a good offensive guy. I think he's going to work well in the NFL. He can bring some nice offensive schemes, and you got those two good outside receivers that's going to take away a lot of the middle of that field. They don't have a good tight end. I know Tebow. They said Tebow might actually make the team now, but they say he's going to be in that Taysom Hill role. We'll see how that goes, but we all know Trevor Lawrence isn't coming off the field for Tim Tebow in any aspect. So I mean, I'm thinking we could be at the 100 target mark this year for maybe more for Laviska. I mean, like I said, this is the kind of guy that Urban Meyer likes. That's why they drafted ATN. So, I mean, if you got ATN and Laviska Shenault running all over that 10 to 15-yard range, you don't know where the ball's going. Both of them can get open. So, I think the sky's the limit for this guy. I think Jacksonville is going to be a lot better than what people think. I don't know what the hype train is on Jacksonville, but they're not going to be a playoff team, but I think they're on the right track, and I think Laviska Shenault's going to be Lawrence's number one receiver.
Oh, 100% was Chark going down a little bit too. They're going to miss out on the connection that the rookie quarterback needs. So Chark's going to bounce back eventually, but Chenault's been there since day one. His rookie season was what you would like to see out of a like everybody's thinking Jamar Chase is going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread, and he's not looking too good right now. But when you draft a guy a little bit later, you don't expect them to come out guns a-blazing. He came out. That's a pretty good stat line for a rookie. It cracks me up that he had exactly 600 yards.
Yeah.
Who does that? I think that the rushing yards probably will dwindle a little bit with them having 2 good running backs, but I think the receptions are going to go up enough that it's going to balance itself out. I could easily see him getting 1,000 yards, especially with the extra game this year. Touchdowns will go up because he's big. They're going to throw to him. And I think they're going to score more than they did last year. So I have zero qualms. He's my boy. I've had him in a bunch of leagues. I had to trade him away so I could get George Kittle in a league where I was getting ready to win now, and I think that balanced out. It was through a series of trades that I guess I'll keep George Kittle in a tight end premium league over Laviska Shenault. It pained me because the guy really wanted Shenault, and there's no way I'm ever getting him back.
Yeah, missed that bus.
Yeah, I got him in a bunch of leagues. I'm on the Shenault train. I would walk around in the Shenault jersey. I'll be honest. So my guy is a number 2 receiver. I've mentioned him earlier in the podcast on an earlier episode, and that guy is Russell Gage. He's a little smaller than Chenault, 6'6" tall, buck 84. But he's now Matt Ryan's number 2. Matt Ryan's a gunslinger. I don't want to hear any of this Kyle Pitts garbage. Kyle Pitts will get his 600 yards. That doesn't matter. That's Julio's 600 yards from last year, whatever. But you're looking at a number 2 receiver who got 109 targets last year. We're talking about Chenault, Laviska Chenault, the number 1 receiver in Tennessee, getting 100 yards, 100 receptions, and we'd be content. Russell Gage, even the year before, had 74 receptions. So he's going 74, 109. And they got rid of Julio. They got rid of Julio's 68 targets from last year. Some of those will be spread out. Will he get all of them? No. Calvin Ridley, his numbers will probably be fairly comparable to what they were last year. So when you take out Julio's 700 yards and 51 receptions, he might get some of those. A couple of those will go to Pitts, but he's in year 4. Year 3, he had that year 3 standard receiver coming out party. He's not going to get double teamed. Chenault might run into some of those in his sophomore season, getting double teamed when he's going with it. Do I think Gage is better than Chenault? No. Could Gage have a better season than Chenault? Quite possibly, because of situation and quarterback experience. Lawrence is a good quarterback. I mentioned on a Instagram post that maybe I jumped the gun by having him ranked so high. I said I pretty much did it because my co-host pressured me. But I think it's going to take a year. He's not gonna come in and throw for 5,000 yards and 35 touchdowns. Yeah, but Matt Ryan's seasoned. He is a seasoned veteran. He knows how to get the ball around. He's not gonna only throw to Calvin Ridley. He'll throw to his best receiver, who is Calvin Ridley. But he's also going to hit up Russell Gage. Russell Gage is going to get the scraps. They're going to be losing a lot because their defense is pretty putrid. So Russell Gage is going to hit the scraps. I had to do a Falcon. I really wanted to do Mike Davis, but I'm sure I'll hit him later on. So, but Russell Gage, he has potential. The Falcons, Calvin Ridley, spoiler alert for a few weeks away, Calvin Ridley might be who I think will be the wide receiver 1 this year. And if you have a wide receiver 1, usually number 2 falls somewhere there, and I think Russell Gage could easily be a wide receiver 2, heavy.
Yeah, I mean, I like Russell Gage. Like I said, I mean, if he's there when the time is right, I'll take him. I've got no issues. I'm not looking to rely on Russell Gage. Could he have a wide receiver 2 year? I mean, it's possible. I see him more of that wide receiver 3. So at the end of the year, I think he will end up being the 3rd target. Of course, first target being Calvin Ridley, and then second target being Kyle Pitts. I mean, I don't understand how that could not be possible. I mean, Kyle Pitts is fantastic.
Hype dreams.
But yeah, Matt Ryan's a great quarterback. They're going to throw a lot. Of course, again, they're not going to be winning. You want these guys to be on losing teams so you can get those garbage points at the end of the game. And I think that's where Russell Gage will feast. He'll get
he's also pick 164 average draft position, so he's free.
Yeah. I mean, if you can get a wide receiver 3 at, what'd you say, 164?
164.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Like I said, I've got no issues with Justin Gage. With Gage. Like I said, he's number 2 receiver, but he's going to be the 3rd target. Compared to Laviska Chenault, I think the Chenault has more of that number 1 guy target play. So I think Chenault ends up with a better year than Russell Gage. I'm really hoping. But like I said, being the 3rd target, like wide receiver 3 is definitely possible. Got no quarrels. I mean, I got him on a couple teams. It's good pick.
So our last 2 guys that we're going to close out with would probably be called our reach guys. These are guys that realistically, if you have a 9 starter, 6 bench league, you're not going to draft. I think my guy might be moving up into that area with recent revelations. Your guy, whatever. That's all I got. That's all. So I'll get to have fun with him later on. I tried to get your guy in some leagues, and everybody has him because we play in leagues with people that know what they're talking about. So my guy is trending to be the new hotness. He's got Adam Troutman type lines, Adam Troutman type quarterback problems. It is Marquez Callaway. Everything coming out of Saints camp is absolutely horrible. Taysom Hill might be our quarterback. Good dude. That's horrible. Michael Thomas is ghosting the team. That's horrible. Michael Thomas waited 3 months to get a surgery. That's horrible. Michael Thomas doesn't want to play here. He wants to get traded. That's horrible. Drew Brees is watching TV from home this year. Good for him because we're old and it would hurt to play football. But it's horrible for the Saints. The Saints are going to be competing with, in my opinion, the Falcons for a position in that division. But things coming out of camp about Marquez Callaway are amazing. I would even say, as JJ Wang often says, fantastic, to quote the great one. Marquez Callaway has been the standout at camp right now. We all thought it'd be Trequan Smith. I was in a league where I joined an orphan league where Trequan was on a dynasty waiver wire, and someone spent all of their waiver wire money, a ton of their waiver wire money on him. And I haven't heard the name Trequan Smith. And if by this point he has not shown the breakout, he's going on the name of Trequan Smith. We are looking at Marquez Callaway, who is a good receiver size, not as heavy as you want him to be, but he's tall, 6 foot. He's 204 pounds, still decent size. He's coming into year 2. He played in an SEC program in Tennessee last year. He had 21 receptions, but that was when they were going through quarterbacks all over. Michael Thomas was getting peppered, and Kamara caught everything in the world. Well, Michael Thomas isn't playing until at least October. Someone has to catch the ball. I think that someone is Marquez Callaway. I think with the opportunity, what's coming out of camp for him, he's going to easily be their number one. I would put him in the grand scheme, if I were to say yearly stats, put him behind Chenault, but not a lot behind because he's the number one. We're talking 2 number ones on growing quarterback teams. I still believe Gage will have better stats because of the established quarterback between those 3, but I could see Callaway vastly outperforming a 203 average draft position, 68 receiver. I could easily see him ending up being a high-end wide receiver 3 by the end of the year. So I would take Callaway off the waiver wire. I would bid $2 in our auction league and throw him on my bench and just watch that stock rise. So
Yeah,
what you got there?
yeah, I think Callaway, I mean, has potential. I mean, you know what they always, somebody's got to catch the ball, right? There's going to be plenty of targets to go around. I mean, Sean Payton's still going to run his offense no matter who's on there. So I think there's going to be room for multiple receivers. I mean, you got your tight end one coming up with Adam Troutman. He's going to get his. And then the wide receiver, we've all been waiting on Trequan Smith to be that guy. I feel like for years now, and he always has that one game. You're like, oh, here it goes, and then he just goes back to being Trequan Smith. Probably the best bet would be Callaway as your number one receiver. I think him and Justin Gage are a good comparison. I think Chenault is a little better of a wide receiver one in a better position than Callaway. Callaway is going to get those deep balls. We all know Jameis likes to chuck it down the field. And that's what Jameis does. So he'll get his opportunity. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be afraid to pick Callaway up off the waiver wire somewhere. I think I do got him on a team or two. So I mean, I've got a share, hoping that something does blow up there. So, I mean, like you said, you're taking him late. You're really not losing anything. I'll spend $3 on him in the auction league. Got no issues.
Darn it, I said 2.
But
I
yes.
do say one thing. I do have one disagreement. I would not compare him to Justin Gage.
Russell Gage.
Because Justin Gage, he's been out of the league for like 11 years.
uh,
I had to bring it in. I was like, wait a second. Justin Gage. I thought you were going to say Nick Gage for a second there to throw out a deathmatch wrestler or tire gauge or tire pressure gauge. We'll see what comes up.
we all knew what we was talking about. I mean, I'm sure that's probably not the first mistake I've made this episode. You just might not have caught the other one. But switching over to my guy, I'm digging deep here for this guy. I mean, he's going pick 335, so he's not even getting drafted. I mean, I think this is going to be more of that first week waiver wire guy, that has that good first week and everybody's going to go there. If he's even there, like you said, Dynasty Leagues, he's probably already picked up. But he's 6'2", 200 pounds in his third year. It's Jacoby Myers from the New England Patriots. We all know what happened to New England last year. But looking at the Myers did perform badly last year. He was the number one receiver. He had 59 catches, 81 targets. Not awful bad when you was looking at what kind of passing was coming from Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton only had 6 passing touchdowns last year. That's awful. And Myers didn't have any. That's just because he's not throwing it. So I think this year the passing offense will be a little better. You bring in Aguilar, so you do give him a little help. If Aguilar can be relevant. Um, so you got two okay receivers out there, take a little pressure off. But maybe if Mac Jones comes in, it might help out a little bit. But I think Myers can get up to that possibly 95 target area. He only played in 14 games. Give him the extra 3 games. Could be pushing for 1,000 yards. But the thing is he going to get a touchdown? I mean, I'd like to see him at least get one or two. That would be nice. But like I said, you're not paying anything for him. He's going to be absolutely free. So if you're going to take a dart throw, you might as well take a dart throw on a team's possible number one wide receiver. What do you
Yeah.
think?
What was that average draft position you said?
335. He is the
35. So he's getting drafted in giant, not even best ball leagues, so giant dynasty leagues with 30 bench rosters.
yeah. Like I said, he's the wide receiver 109. So
But what's funny about that is 300 for a guy who started every game but one from week 7 to week 16 last year, or game 7 to game 16 last year for the Patriots, a starting wide receiver. There are 32 teams in the NFL, and apparently draft position thinks that he isn't even worthy to be in the top 64, and he's the wide receiver too. Now, math would dictate that he should be in the top 64 because he's a wide receiver too, and he can catch the ball. Now, do I think he's going to get a goose egg and touchdowns? No, I think that is one of those oddball stats that he'll sadly say, you know, that year that I had the really good year with 700 yards and almost 60 receptions, I had 0 touchdowns. Yes, Cam Newton is that bad. Cam apparently isn't looking too horrible in in practice or playing this year. Like he could step it up. He said he's feeling better. Hopefully that means he throws more to receivers and he doesn't get scared and run. Like I think a lot of Cam's running is more because he's getting older and scared and he's not stopping to read the field like a quarterback should. So I joked earlier, Jacoby Myers it's laughing because the only people that are going to have them on their team are our listeners. So thank yourself, all 13, 14 of you, for listening to us this week. We want to get it to 100. Remember that. But I can't argue with Jacoby Myers, especially Nelson Aguilar is questionable now with a couple little nicks here and there. But Jacoby Myers, if you're getting him for free, I might throw him out for $1 at our auction draft.
I'll jump up for a $2 bid. I mean,
I might have to go through. It depends what you do on me with Justin Gage, maybe, or Nick Gage, or Russell Gage, or where we go from there. But those were our guys. Just to review them, I had Dallas Goddard, Russell Gage, and Marquise Callaway. JJ Wang had Adam Troutman, Laviska Shenault, and Jacoby Myers. Those are 6 guys we think outside of from round 6 on that could be potential studs as we move into our training camp uh-ohs and news. So we've had a couple of uh-ohs this week. Poor Baltimore. Rashad Bateman went down with a groin, got some surgery. He'll be out till September. And Hollywood Brown has that hammy on the docket. I wrote Hollywood, then in parentheses where I put the injuries, I wrote Brown. So I guess it's just a bunch of poo going on. I wrote his last name instead of his hammy, and a hammy for a speedy receiver can't be good. So with Bateman out, Hollywood a little bit slowed down. What are you thinking here in Baltimore?
Thinking back, it's gonna be the same thing as it always is. I guess Mark Andrews is just going to end up getting this target share. Like I thought he wouldn't because I thought they'd be able to throw more. But if they don't have any receivers, then I guess they're not going to be able to throw, and they're just going to run the ball like crazy.
What about the Mr. Watkins? Any thought?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to pick Watkins up for that first game and watch him explode, and then not here for him again the rest of the year, absolutely. I mean, I'm tired of Sammy. I can't take Sammy Watkins anymore. I feel like he's been in the league for 15 years, and we've been talking about it for 15 years. So kudos to that guy for staying relevant, but I don't want no parts of it. I'll just have to go back to Mark Andrews as being a top 5 tight end. Didn't think it would happen this year, but
The thing is,
All same old.
you never should have went away from him being a top five tight end because Mark Andrews is a stud.
Yeah, it's a stud when you're the only option on the field, I guess. I mean,
That's
thought
why I
maybe.
got him in a rookie auction for $2. So what can you do?
I mean, if you can get it for $2, go for it. I mean, you're definitely gonna get your money's worth. What else we got?
Ironically, Sammy Watkins, I wouldn't have believed this. How old do you think Sammy Watkins is?
Probably only like 25.
No, 20. He's 20. He just turned 28 in June. Like
I feel
I
like
would
he's
have thought
been.
he's a ton older. He's been there
I feel
forever.
like he's been in the my whole fantasy life. I feel like he's been a part of. I feel like
That's
I've.
Tom Brady.
That is true. You're absolutely right. I've been Tom
Our whole
Brady's been
adult
there
life, actually.
my whole adult life. Yeah, absolutely love Tom Brady.
So now hitting up your boys. Dak is getting an MRI on Monday. It's for me, it's why I don't have Dak as high as I want to. I came into the season, we did a startup earlier, and I wanted to get Dak and or Kyler. I ended up paying up too much on Kyler, so I couldn't get Dak. I chickened out. I should have got him, but I'm glad now I didn't because is it going to be this and that? What do you see this year for them?
I mean, preseason injury are they're so hard to determine. I mean, maybe it's might who hasn't woken up some days with a little bit of a shoulder injury. I mean, of course he's a young guy, he shouldn't be waking up to shoulder injuries,
He needs an
but
MRI though.
you're right, he does need an MRI. And like they said, there's smoke, there's fire, but I think by the time first game rolls around, Dak's going to be full steam ahead. It's like I said, it does question me taking him so high. I mean, I might drop him a little bit. I said I might take Tom Brady over him.
Oh, I'm
Just
doing
in
that anyway. What are you talking about?
just. Oh, I'm not doing that. That's crazy
Redraft
talk.
only. Redraft only.
Kind of like the Saquon Barkley thing, where you don't want to put all your confidence in somebody that's injured. So of course you're gonna tail off a little bit, but as the season comes around, I mean, I think that you all the confidence in the world would be that could be their first game of the season, and if anything, it helps out Ezekiel Elliott, right?
Yeah. And if you're listening to this on Wednesday. I told you we told you we record over the weekends on the off season with work and everything. That could be totally fine, or there might be a lot of news about Dak. We'll put something up on Instagram or Twitter as it pops through. I'm gonna jump up to our last that well, it's not really an it's called Welcome to the World. This is like saying the grass is green. Mike Williams has an injury. This time it's a hip flexor. I was starting to actually rise on Mike Williams. I was believing the hype, going, hey, Justin Herbert coming out in his second year, he's going to sling the ball. Keenan Allen's going to start getting quadruple teamed unless someone else catches the ball. Jared Cook is not the answer. He's old. Maybe some rookies. Eckler will get some catches, but
Oh,
who would you see stepping up, or what do you think about Mike Williams for the upcoming season, or do you see someone sneaking in there? Guyton, Johnson, Palmer, to name a few.
oh well, like I says, tired of waiting on Mike Williams too. You like that potential is always there, and you're like, man, here it comes, here it comes. Then they say he gets injured again. I mean, eventually you lose faith in guys. You start going away from them. So there's going to have to be a number two receiver. I'm not really sure about Palmer. Really didn't do all that much in college. So I'm not really sure how it's going to translate to the NFL. Like very little tape. He only had like what 200 yards, 300 yards in his senior season at college. I think honestly the biggest beneficiary of this is going to be Austin Eckler. I mean, that's just more catches coming his way. So we might be looking at 100 catches for Eckler this year. But I don't see, I don't see any of those wide receivers you mentioned, being really that relevant. They gave Guyton a chance last year. Might develop a little bit, but it's still going to be the Keenan Allen show. Still going to be the Austin Eckler show, and we'll just ride those guys all year.
Yeah, I could see Guyton or Tyron Johnson sneaking into maybe that wide receiver three category. I don't know which one. I was discussing with the guy. I threw out Johnson last week. He was a Guyton guy. It'll depend upon how long Williams is out. If he made any connection on during the offseason spending time with Herbert, they could step right back in once he gets going. Or if Mike Williams is just Mr. Glass, we'll go from there. But let's jump on the hype train. So we got some hype train here that we believe. I will start with my simple no-brainer. I've been talking about it, and I'll keep talking about it. My boy Amon-Ra St. Brown. He was looking great in the slot as I watched the preseason game. Golf likes the guy. At least the Lions commentators love the guy. He's on a team where he's got to step up. I was in a league where a dude tried to tell me that trading Tom Brady in a single quarterback league for Amon-Ra St. Brown was not a fair trade. I was giving up Tom Brady just in discussions. I wasn't going to really do it because that's ridiculous. But he thought Amon-Ra St. Brown was worth that much. So if he believes that kind of hype in his magic foo-foo Candyland, Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be the next big thing. Just keep an eye out for him. He could be this year's Laviska Shenault. I think that's in a realm of possibility. I don't think he's going to be Jefferson, but he's probably more of a Shenault.
Yeah, I definitely don't think he's going to be Jefferson. Honestly, I don't even think he's going. Well, I guess he could be Chenault. I guess Jacksonville's offense last year is probably pretty comparable to Detroit's this year. They're both absolutely terrible and not a lot of weapons. So I mean, I guess it's possible. I mean,
Detroit has a number one draft pick quarterback. How can they
yeah,
not win?
you're absolutely right. I mean, like I said, I got Amon Ra in one of my leagues, but like I said, I'm not really expecting too much. I mean, it's definitely going to. I don't think he's definitely going to explode until probably they get their number one quarterback, which could be next year because again they might not win a game. So I mean, end up getting that number one pill. Maybe we'll see. But jump over here to my guy. I mean, I wasn't really excited. wasn't too. I haven't really been excited about this guy at all. But after the first preseason games, he played okay. That's on Mac Jones. He was 13 of 19 for 87 yards. Again, preseason game, first game of the season. Most of these guys won't even be playing when the regular season starts, but at least he can come into the NFL and make some throws. I mean, so the possibilities there. If Cam Newton continues to play the way he played last year, which was not very good, I don't think Belichick is going to stand for it. With Belichick wants to win, and last year Cam wasn't helping him win at all. So maybe Mac Jones can come in and make some throws and to help out my boy Jacoby Myers jump up the draft board and work him as that wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2 guy. But like I said, he looked good, looked decent in his first game. Got a couple more games here, see what he can do.
Yeah, I'm not a Mac Jones guy. I don't think there's really been a good Alabama quarterback in the NFL since Kenny Stabler. So
what's that say about your boy Tua?
saying what it is right now. He hasn't jumped up yet. So, well, I'm talking about going forward. So, yeah, I guess you got me there. I think Max Jones stinks. I don't think he's going to be good. I think Tua is going to blow up this year. I forgot about Tua. I pulled up Alabama NFL quarterbacks, like to look at the history of it. And Tua will be the next one, of course. But you're looking at Kenny Stabler, Bart Starr, and I think I'll get in trouble for this. People are going to crush me. Joe Namath I think he's overrated. He's a history trendsetter because of popularity and because of what he did in Super Bowl III. But if you look at career stats, oof. But
he has a nice fur coat, though.
Oh yeah, he had a beautiful life, but has a beautiful life. But I just there's something about Mac Jones that doesn't feel right for the program. I do think he landed in the best position he could possibly land in. If anybody can take a quarterback who was good in college that nobody think was going to be any good in the pros and make them a superstar, it's Bill Belichick, or Tom Brady's just magically made a deal with the devil. I'm not sure. But yeah, enough about Mac Jones. He doesn't deserve this much time on our show where we only talk about 6 guys. Let's talk about the next hype train, which is Cam Akers. Cam Akers. Oh, wait. Cam Akers is out for the year. He tore his Achilles. How about the entire Rams backfield? There was hype for every single person except probably Raymond Calais in this backfield. Hype throughout the week has popped up. Earlier in the week, it was Xavier Jones is going to get a piece of this backfield. He's going to be that missing link. Xavier Jones will add excitement to running game. There's puns all over the place. He's going to be a beast. Jake Funk is the guy that all the clever dynasty guys are trying to get. Like, Jake Funk's going to be the next big thing. I heard this statement from a human being this week. I'm sure he's listening to. He said, Jake Funk is going to be the next Christian McCaffrey. I said, no. And then what came out towards the end of last week was that Darrell Henderson is going to be the man. So what do all of these things tell us? Absolutely nothing. They say there are 2.5 decent running backs on this squad. Sean McVay might want to push Henderson, but if he might, because he did last year. But then why did he go after Akers? What's missing about Henderson for him? Or maybe that was the kick in the rear that Henderson needs. I foresee Henderson getting like a 60-40 with Jones, maybe a 75 to, I don't know. 60-40 is probably where I'd put it. And with Jones getting Henderson being the bowling ball, he reminds something about him feels Maurice Jones-Drew to me. And then Xavier Woods getting some of the extra, the whatever's left in the catching work, maybe receiving work.
So just to back up a little bit, Xavier Woods, was that correct? Is that what
Xavier
you
Woods, oh,
Yeah,
it's
he's a
gonna be a new
wrestler.
day.
I mean, if you want to do a podcast on wrestling, I am all for it. Talking Xavier Jones there, but yeah, so looking at the Rams offense, we know Sean McVay just likes to collect offensive talent or offensive weapons. Let's say that seems like all he does in the draft, just wide receivers and running backs. He wants as many as he can possibly get. Just for this case, and Cam Akers goes down, he's got Darrell Henderson. I think Henderson's going to get the first opportunity to take as much of that workload as he can. So Henderson might be that guy without a doubt. But I do have a question. I did get a trade offer earlier in the week, and it involved one of these guys. So the trade offer was Jared Dokes of Miami for Jake Funk of the Rams. So what you're telling me is that I should probably decline that trade, correct? I got Jared Dokes.
Well,
No, I got Jake Funk. I
you got
apologize.
Jake
I
Funk.
got Jake Funk.
Considering Jared Dokes is going to be on the practice squad of the Dolphins and Jake Funk is going to be sitting on the bench of the Rams, I mean, it doesn't matter, but I wouldn't take it. But then again, if Jake Funk is going to be the next Christian McCaffrey in the multiverse,
I mean, how
then
dumb would I look trading the next Christian McCaffrey for, Jared Dokes? I'd look ridiculous.
well, I did give away Darrell Henderson after I traded Cam Akers in a trade, and I just needed roster space, so I threw Darrell Henderson in as an extra piece because he's a backup running back. So the other guy, who I know is an avid podcast listener, he is dancing in the streets, happy to have Darrell Henderson and
Congrats to that guy. Good job.
Mr. Dougie.
And good thing you didn't trade him for that first round pick. I mean, you might be able to get 2 first round picks for him now, right?
Yeah, a guy that had my first round pick in my other dynasty actually drafted Darrell Henderson with my pick last year, and I laughed at him. Who's laughing now?
Who's laughing now?
So we are getting ready. The season's coming up in a few weeks. We will go to 2 shows. We are sort of priming ourselves by doing the preview shows. We have the quarterback preview show live, the running back preview show live. At the end of this week, the tight end show will come up, and next week we'll have the wide receiver show. We're not going to waste our time on kickers and defenses. You just pick the one you like. But do us a favor, hook us up, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and email us at thefantasycouriers@gmail.com. Jump on at YouTube. We're looking for those 100 followers by the end of the month, 100 subscribers. You can click on there, listen to us, never miss a show. We want to have you all on there. We want to have you all as we're growing the podcast. And JJ Wang, take us out of here.
Absolutely great show. And also don't forget to respond to my draft quandary that I found myself in earlier. I really would like to know what everybody would do. Of course, my decision's already been made, but I'd like to see what everybody would do before I tell everyone. But like I said, I trusted myself and then I trusted the process.